So in this presentation, I'm going to compare League of Legends and Planetside according to my gamer motivation profile. So before I start talking about the games, I want to talk about which sub-motivations I've chosen from my profile. Firstly, I want to talk about community because I like playing with other people more than playing solo, and it's even better when we have challenges to overcome through team effort. And also, the feeling of accomplishment is much stronger when you have achieved something as a team rather than alone. The other thing I like about competition in games is the ability to learn from other people that I'm competing with and against. Now, the other two motivations I want to talk about are strategy and challenge. Let's start with strategy as it's the most dominant one. What I like about strategy is when a game requires me to have a long-term plan but force me to be reactive rather than static. So I have to adapt to different challenges the game continues to put in front of me. And to know how to adapt, you need game knowledge, which is something that keeps me engaged in the game. So the more knowledge there is to learn in a game, the better for me. Coming over to the challenge side, the most important thing about challenge for me is that it can coexist with strategy, which in most cases means the long-term plans I'm making on the strategy side are needed to be executed through personal skill and mastery. And the second most important thing is to game to have an interface that tracks my improvement over time. Now let's move on to the games. First, League of Legends. And this quote right here basically summarizes why I like the game. Macro wins games. Micro makes clips. This means shiny plays or outplays you make are just that. They are YouTube clips. They do not win the games. What wins the games are the macro plays, which sometimes can be boring. And another thing I like about League is that there's a lot of variations in champion select, runes, itemization, which allows for you to develop your own strategies for your playstyle. You don't specifically need to follow the pro players' recommendations. You can go with your own gut if you have the game knowledge for it. Talking about playstyles, I usually play basic champions in League. That allows me to focus more on the macro side of things, so I can look at the minimap more, I don't have to deal with skill shots, etc. So I'm going to run you through my thought process while this recording is playing. I'm playing a champion called Udyr, which is a very basic champion, there's no skill shots I need to worry about. And as junglers, we both started at the bottom side of the map, which means we are both gonna end up on the top side and try to gank it. I'm doing a 5 camp clear, which means I'm gonna be late to the top lane. And Warwick is doing a 4 camp clear, which means he's not gonna be that early either. And I know Warwick doesn't have flash. Jace does, which is my top laner. So even if he gets there, he won't be able to kill my top laner most likely, but I still want to counter gank to get a kill for myself. So I was leading my red buff towards the top lane. Then I go there, I don't see Warwick, so I back off. Now I see Warwick, my top laner flashes immediately as a good call, and I'm coming back to kill Warwick hopefully, but he does a very wise decision of backing off towards his laner and turret instead of coming to the river. So I'm going to take the Scuttle Crab. And I'm gonna lead the Scuttle Crab away from him, so he cannot contest it. Instead of just walking in blind, he uses the plant to get vision, which is very wise of him. Now I'm going to directly go to the bot side of the map and try to get the other Scuttle Crab. But he is gonna appear in the mid lane. So I'm gonna have to come back towards the mid lane to protect my mid laner against the all-in, which they don't try. So I'm gonna sit in this bush and wait for Warwick to kill him. I stun, I move towards his side so he cannot run away, since I'm body blocking that way. Then it's a very easy kill, he doesn't have anywhere to run. And I was level 4 against him being level 3, so even if any didn't come, he was dead. I'm gonna take Scuttle Crab. That puts me 3 camps ahead of him. And assist. This guy decides to teleport to bot lane. Since both our laners are low on HP, I'm just gonna come and pick up this free kill. And that's gonna be a huge lead for our team. Now, it's been barely 5 minutes into the game. We are up 4 kills with me having a kill and assist. I'm up ahead by 13 CS. There is a 3000 gold lead in our team. The game is over in 5 minutes. And as long as we don't throw the game, they're not gonna win from this. Now, during that game, I haven't done anything micro-wise. All I did was to set myself up for success by being at the right place at the right time. We got 20 kills against their 8. We got 10,000 gold lead at the end. We got all the objectives against them having nothing. And we didn't throw, most importantly, so they had no chance of winning this game after that 5 minutes. And here's the gold graph. As you can see, after that 5 minutes where we started to get the gold advantage, there wasn't any time that we actually start losing it. So we just increased the gold gap every minute till we eventually won by them surrendering at 20 minutes. So let's talk about Planetside a bit, since it's a popular game. It's a FPS game, mainly. There are 3 factions, as you can see on the right side, with red, blue, and purple colors. There are 4 different continents. This is one of them. It's called Hosin, and all these continents have their own team. There are combined arms gameplay, so there's multiple air and ground vehicles, there are multiple infantry classes, a lot of different weapons, so you can choose how you want to play the game. And it's all sci-fi themed. Now, the easiest way to imagine this game is to take squad, but instead of being 50 versus 50 matches, it's 300 versus 300 versus 300 matches with, instead of one lattice or lane, there are multiple lattices or lanes throughout the map, which allows more strategical and tactical gameplay, as you can cut off other people's bases, since you have to have connections to the bases that you want to capture or hold. So what attracts me about Planetside? Firstly, the map-wide strategy. As you saw on the previous slide, there's a huge map that allows for a lot of tactical gameplay, and it scales too big for one person to matter without actual teamwork. This changes a little bit in communities like I am in, where we try to be more competitive. The group performance comes before personal performance always, but personal skill of course helps the larger group as well, since we are as strong as our weakest member. And of course we don't want people aiming like stormtroopers, we all know how that goes. So every day we seek to improve both personally and as a group and push our limits further. So talking about improvement, this is my training characters stats page from one of the platforms you can track your stats for Planetside. And I want to take your attention to the ranking percentages on the right side here. As you can see, most of Planetside population averages below average. What I mean by that is they are going to die more than they kill people, they're going to spend more time walking around or sitting around rather than actually being in action. Basically, they will be pretty inefficient in everything they do. And when I started out, I was one of those people. I believe I was around the D ranking. The reason of this is I wasn't an FPS player. I have not really played any FPS game before Planetside, and Planetside was the only FPS game I played for a long time without quitting it. The reason I didn't quit for so long is the community I joined, which allowed me to be competitive and improve myself. And as you can see, over time I have improved to a pretty decent level. Now, most of that improvement I owe to this one person. He's a god. He is the person I spend most of my training with. I have played with him on live server. I've played with him in scrims on private servers. I've played with him on 1v1s. And all I can say about him is that the one thing he likes more than shooting people in the head is teaching other people how to shoot people in the head. Lastly, I want to quickly recap how these games relate to my motivations. Starting from the left side, there is skill required for execution in both of these games. In League of Legends, this is the little micro tricks you need to learn, and in Planetside, this is being able to aim and control your recoil properly. Both of these games have multiple platforms you can track your stats and your improvement. They both require me to react to what's going on right in front of me, as well as what's going on in the rest of the map in real time, and adjust my long-term plans according to it. And both of these games have a lot of room for creative freedom with all the different choices you're able to make, as well as a vast knowledge to learn. Both are multiplayer games, so they include a PvP challenge and the feeling of accomplishment that comes with the victory, as well as the improvements you make over time. Learning from competition wise, in League of Legends, I learn how to adapt and beat my competition as I play, and in Planetside, it's more literal as I train with people who give me a great challenge, like the God, so I don't have to learn from what they do only, but I also learn from what they advise me to do. I played these games mostly with my friends or the community I'm in, so there's always a fun with others element in it. And even when playing alone, you have to work with other players to win, so there's always a little bit of a team effort in the game. And those are the reasons I like these games and keep coming back to them over the years. Thank you for listening.